try to do a little better than your last performance. Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, December the 27th. I pray that everyone has had a Merry Christmas, and it's surely a super blessed time of year. It couldn't be more. You know, the only comparison would be Easter, but nevertheless, again, it's a holiday that I hope you were able to share with your families, and it got pretty nasty cold. I mean, that's for dadgum sure. On the day that it was at its worst, you know, I think it was the first day of the duck season. And so just like a hunter that loves to hunt and everything and loves to get outside, I didn't let the bad weather stop me. And right out I went and everything. I was in a blind on the ground, a lot of, you know, pine and stuff like that around me. But I am telling you, and this is for real, that I've been in the woods many, many, many times all my life and everything. I don't know that I was ever that cold. And the wind absolutely would just cut you in two, but it was a pretty exciting time to be out there. And to be perfectly honest, there wasn't any ducks or geese that perished on that day. But nevertheless, I hope and pray, like I said, everyone has had a Merry Christmas, and we're looking for a very happy and prosperous New Year. And the best thing I could possibly report to you today is just this: is we have now been 11 days since we reported a COVID-19 death. The last reported death, I think, was on December the 16th. And so if we can keep this string going, that's really, really, really good stuff. So we got 7,661 people that we've lost, and that's a shame beyond belief, but hopefully we can keep this string going. And if we reported someone, maybe it was a death, you know, in the past and a reconciliation stuff and everything. But what information I'm being given right now is we haven't reported a death in West Virginia due to COVID in the last 11 days. And that's good stuff, really good stuff. We still have active cases of 1,078, new positive cases of 1,466, the daily positivity rate at 10.45, you know, the cumulative rate at 8.56, recovered cases almost 615,000, 264 people that are hospitalized, 34 in the ICU units, and 11 on ventilators. And let me just go back and recap that just a second and just say this to you. Active cases are still significant. The new positive cases, because 1,466 that we have reported to us, you know, how many do we not know about that people are doing the home test kits that we don't even know about? Daily positivity rate at 10.45 and the cumulative at 8.56. This thing's not gone. It's not gone. But we can live with it. You know, through our boosters and vaccines and everything, we're finding a way to live with this. And I encourage many, many, many more to step up and get those booster shots and get your vaccines. We do have 264 people, and that's grown in our hospitals, and we surely offer up prayers for all of them. But we still got to stay on our game here. Stay on guard, please. 38 green counties, 17 yellow counties. I've just reminded you about your booster shots and everything. I also remind you about getting your flu shot. Whether it be this RSV or flu or COVID, there's three things going around that are pretty nasty stuff and everything. But protect yourself as best you possibly can. We all know that wintertime is with us, and how fast the temperature dropped and the wind blew, and absolutely this just happened, just boom, just overnight. What if we'd have had, like in many places across the country, feet of snow? We've lost so many people all across this country and everything. It's bad stuff. Wintertime can be harsh, that's for sure, and so just be really careful. The numbers continue to eke up and everything. I've told you a little bit about that, and from the standpoint of going on our website, checking out that vaccine calculator and everything, check out all of the information about COVID. It's all on our website, and it'll help you if you'll register and everything. We'll remind you when to get your booster shots or when to get your vaccines. Today we have 51 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. We don't have any in our active church, that are active church outbreaks. Corrections have 52 inmates and 8 staff cases. I encourage you over and over and over about giving blood. I would tell you the smart money is check with your physician, and if they absolutely give your blessing to go and everything, please just consider. I remind you again about the lifetime hunting and fishing licenses. The giveaway in regard to that. If you buy your hunting and fishing license for 2023 in December, you will automatically, be placed into a drawing, and there'll be a bunch of people that'll win and everything. You could be one of them, and that lifetime hunting and fishing license is worth a lot of money. So if you're a non-resident and everything, you'll be qualified for lodge stays and stuff, our state parks, and we'll get back to you on that and everything. But for the residents, lifetime hunting and fishing license. We've lost a really staunch West Virginian that has been with us many years. He was 80 years old, Larry Starcher. Larry was a former West Virginia State Supreme Court judge. He was a longtime circuit court judge and law professor at WVU. Starcher was elected to the State Supreme Court in 1996 and served for 12 years till 2008. He served as our Chief Justice in 1993 and also in 2003. But Larry Starcher was a great man, a man that served this state very honorably. And we will be lowering our flags to half-staff when we have more detail on the day of his burial. We will be lowering our flags to half-staff. So please absolutely offer up your prayers to this great family and this great individual that served West Virginia so admirably. Just to wrap up, on Thursday, we announced Form Energy coming to West Virginia, coming to the town of Weirton. And I got to tell you this real quick, but when I think about Weirton, I think about, the 1962, the state basketball tournament. I was 11 years old, and I was at the Morgantown Fieldhouse in the finals of the state basketball tournament with Beckley and Weirton. We lived in Beckley, and Weirton were playing in the state finals. Both teams were undefeated. With 3 minutes and I think 49 or 29 seconds to go in the game, Beckley was behind by 15 points and came back and won the game on a last-second shot. The town of Weirton at that point in time was thriving beyond belief, absolutely thriving. And since that time, many tough days. It's an incredible town. I'll never forget going back to the state basketball tournament in 1964. Weirton and Beckley playing in the semifinals. And I'll never forget the chant of the crowd. we remember 62, but you'll remember 64. And they absolutely, Weirton just beat the fire out of Beckley that year. Now, with all that being said, think about the heritage in so many ways. Think about what they provided this nation, you know, in all their steel-making capabilities and everything. Think about what that community gave. And think about the deterioration of those mills that are there. And what's going to happen now? A company's going to come along, and through the help with the state and the good stuff with this company, $760 million are going to be expended up there to revitalize and to rework all of those incredible steel mill buildings that are there. 750 people minimum are going to be employed there. And all this ties just brilliantly from the standpoint of just this. They're going to be manufacturing batteries, resiliency for our power plants and everything all across this country. Absolutely, this is a green movement that is happening right in Weirton, but it is still an energy movement that is happening right in Weirton. With all in me, we don't want to ever forget where we came from. I always say over and over, always remember who brung you to the dance. Well, West Virginians, our natural resources in so many ways brung us to the dance. We don't forget our coal miners. We want to perpetuate coal in West Virginia. We don't forget our gas workers or our oil workers. We want to perpetuate who we are and everything, but we want to diversify, do we not? Absolutely, we want an all-encompassing, economy that makes us better and better and better. So congratulations, Weirton. Absolutely, you're on your way to a bustling community again. Absolutely, it would be unbelievable what happens in the town of Weirton. And so I couldn't be happier. Really good stuff. Great stuff. You know, now this historical city is looking toward the future. And it's a very bright day. And we welcome Form Energy to West Virginia. So that's all I got right now. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Governor. We also have Dr. Jeff Coben, the Interim Secretary of DHHR, retired Major General Jim Hoyer with us. Let's now go to Dr. Coben.
Well, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Just pleased to report as it relates to the Child Protective Services workforce in the Eastern Panhandle. We had previously mentioned that 4 offers of employment were extended. 3 of those individuals have accepted the offers of employment. 2 CPS workers and 1 youth service worker have planned start dates for this week, and they will begin their training immediately. We've also offered a position to a previous CPS worker who has retired and accepted this new position and will begin in January. And we are continuing to work through recently retired CPS workers for additional recruitment activities. So we're very excited to have them all join our workforce and help keep our children safe, and thank the governor for making this a priority and the 2 initiatives that we've put forward as it relates to allocating funds for additional workers in the Eastern Panhandle, as well as retirees returning to the workforce. The other thing I would just like to comment on is mental health, and to point out that particularly at this time of the year, it's important to recognize signs and symptoms of mental health concerns, that someone suffering from mental health may have feelings of intense sadness and confusion, excessive fears and worries and guilt feelings, and that we have several resources that are available for those who may have mental health concerns and for family members and friends who are concerned about their loved ones. Those resources include 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which provides 24/7 free and confidential support, prevention, and crisis resources. So Help4WV offers a 24/7 confidential support and resources referrals. Help4WV also offers children's crisis and referral line. And residents may call Help4WV at 844-HELP-WV or text 844-435-7498 or chat at www.help4wv. Help 304 offers social and emotional counseling through its professional crisis counselors, and they're also available at 1-877-HELP-304, text 1-877-435-7304, or chat. And the Department of Health and Human Resources encourages anyone experiencing signs or symptoms of mental health disorders or behavioral concerns to seek assistance from those resources that are available to all West Virginians. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gobin. Let's now go to retired Major General Jim Hoyer.
Good morning. Just on the DHHR front, just want to make sure that folks understand that the governor continues to press us to look hard and provide him with the best recommendations possible to do the things that need to be done to take care of our most vulnerable populations within the state. I want to personally thank Dr. Coben for stepping up. I know Dr. Marsh, if he was here, would do the same thing as the governor did in the beginning. This is not an easy task, and for Jeff to step up and do this and spend the time that we've been spending so far over the holidays, and we'll spend over additional days during the rest of the holiday season. Jeff, we greatly appreciate your efforts. As it relates to COVID, just to reinforce a couple of points that the governor made, we're at the point with COVID that we are managing COVID as best that we can. We've been very fortunate that over the last 11 days, we have not had any fatalities related to COVID. That's a good sign that we are managing steady and that our hospitals and healthcare providers are doing a great job when people do get COVID to manage them through care. But as the governor pointed out, we've seen a surge in hospitalizations up to 264 today. An interesting piece of information that our hospital association partners and our WVU data analytics team have found related to that. As we continue to manage COVID and stay in this steady phase, what we see is that the bulk of our hospitalizations tend to be people age 65 and above, as we pointed out, as well as with the fatalities. But what we see in the surge periods is a greater increase in hospitalizations of people in the age group 50 to 59. So as the governor, Dr. Marsh, myself, others, Dr. Coben continue to press, if you're in that age 50 and above, and particularly that 50 to 59 group, based on the data that we see, go out and get that Omicron booster, get that extra protection. If you do start feeling bad, get tested. If you come up positive, speak with your healthcare provider, and the options for those who are able to take Paxlovid for COVID, as well as if you have the flu case, the opportunity to get Tamiflu. Those are all things that reduce symptoms and help people get through this. So again, please pay attention, go out and get the Omicron booster. Help us, help our hospitals manage that care, because this is a time where we see normal hospital surges anyway. So by compounding it with adding COVID cases makes it a unique challenge for our healthcare system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, General Hoyer. Now let's turn to members of the media for questions. First up, Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the budget that you plan to submit next year. Do you plan to submit an essentially flat budget again this year? Thank you.
Essentially that, Charles, there may be some small variation, but it's going to be really, really close to a flat budget. And there's many aspects of it. We're meeting again today. We're going to meet at 2:00 today, and with our whole team in regard to budget and taxes and everything. And we're on the glide path now, or the home stretch, as far as putting it together. But yes, it will be awfully close to a flat budget, and for all practical purposes, essentially just that. And I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it a lot.
All right, thank you, Charles. Let's now go to Kenny Bass, WCHS TV.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking a moment to take my question. I kind of have a two-parter, and both of them are not related. So if you would bear with me and give me a Christmas bonus question, I'd appreciate it. A couple of things about the grid. 45,000 customers were knocked out of North Carolina due to vandalism earlier this month. 14,000 customers over the weekend in Washington State because of attacks and vandalism on substations. I want to ask you just about your opinion about the stability and the security of our grid, especially when we get serious weather. Both Kentucky and West Virginia were asking for energy limiting use over the weekend as the weather got really cold because the grid was in danger of failing. At least that's what they sent out to us. So that's the first question. And the second question, Hoppy Kercheval brought something up last week, and I thought I'd follow up on what Hoppy said. He said he hadn't really quite seen a year like this in which we've had so many economic development announcements, and I would agree with him. That's also been the case. Although they won't all pan out and all be great, there are many reputable companies that have announced they're coming to West Virginia. What do you attribute that to? How has the state been more successful than perhaps some surrounding states in attracting new business? Thank you, sir.
Okay, Kenny. Let me just say just this. If we don't get somebody or somebody's that's more on their game than this pie in the sky thinking that is flying about, from the ultra left, we're going to awaken to a disaster, a weather disaster in this country that's off the chart. Absolutely, from the standpoint of the grid, we're having either an ice storm in Texas and a meltdown, a couple years ago, or we're having California brownouts, one right after another in the middle of the summer, and the same thing in Arizona. Now we have an Arctic blast that comes in, and before you know it, we've got real problems in this country. Well, why in the world? I mean, this is America. I mean, for crying out loud, this is the United States of America. When are we going to awaken to the fact we abound in natural resources like crazy, and we want to, I'm the very guy that's saying, embrace the alternatives. Absolutely embrace the alternatives and everything. But when are we going to absolutely apply, instead of the soapbox mentality, when are we going to apply good, smart sense to it? There may very well be a day. There may be a day in the future, but it's a future day. It could be 10 years. It could be 25 years away. But why don't we work towards growing our alternatives, and while at the same time embracing all the greatness that our fossil fuels have brought us, instead of standing on a soapbox somewhere preaching just to be able to get your name in the paper. Now, with all of that, look what West Virginia is doing. Look what we just did with Form Energy. I mean, Form Energy can be a real contributor to the grid, because basically what they're going to do is manufacture batteries that are going to give up to maybe 100 hours or whatever it may be, from the standpoint of, to ensure against just that, the grid going down and no backup. This is a resiliency backup. You know, that's all there is to it. It's a utility grade batteries that is basically a backup. Now, little old West Virginia that absolutely believes, and rightfully so, and is really, really proud of our coal and our gas and our absolute workers in every way. Little old West Virginia, though, can figure it out because there's some dadgum smart people in West Virginia, and absolutely we now have become the diamond in the rough with people, you know, that are figuring it out and absolutely looking for that diversification while at the same time looking for the harmony to be able to exist and work together and just make things better for our state and better for the nation. It's a crying, pitiful shame in my book. That's all there is to it. We know what we need to do, but we don't want to do that. All we want to do is just get on a box and say how great I am, and I'm going to shut down all the fossil fuels day after tomorrow, and we're going to absolutely have a better earth day after tomorrow, period. Now, what happens? I mean, what in the world happens when we absolutely, you know, step back day after tomorrow and realize that we can't do? That is so ridiculous. It is off the chart. And absolutely, it's not even deserving of the time of day. But with all that being said, we are a nation abounding in natural resources, and we need to have an absolute energy policy and a strategy of where we're going, you know, and absolutely with all of that, there's so many more things that can happen, you know, that would make not only West Virginia greater and on and on and on. Now, the second thing of your question is all the announcements that are going on. Well, you know, Kenny, everybody's got to realize just this, that, you know, whether they buy it or not buy it, I mean, that's up to them. I could care less. I'm uncomfortable sitting here saying, you know, Jim did. And really and truly, at the end of the day, you know, Jim surely has brought a whole lot of ideas to the table. But with all that being said, so many of us have pulled the rope together. Kenny, the announcements don't just come and fall out of the clear blue sky. They fall to West Virginia because we're working at it. Kenny, we are a different state than we were 6 years ago. Let's just be perfectly fair and perfectly honest. For God's sakes, 6 years ago, we couldn't get to the convenience store because our roads were so terrible it was off the chart. Absolutely, we didn't have a pot to pee in as far as really, when it really boils right down to it, as far as the dollars and the economics of this state. We were upside down, we didn't even know where to move. Think about where we are today. Absolutely, we have invested in our parks. We're in every tourism magazine across this whole world. Think about where we are with our roads. Think about where we are with our veterans. Think about where we are with the economics of our state. And I could go on and on and on and on. It's no absolute coincidence. It is no just falling out of the sky. It's been a lot of work that has enabled us to get to where we are. Now with that, you had to have a coach, didn't you? You had to have a leader of the band that really maybe had the ideas. But I'm telling you, this coach right here has had a lot of players that have played really hard in the games. And so with all that being said, Kenny, you know, there is no question the amount of the announcements are unprecedented. And they didn't just fall out of the sky. You know, I could go on and on about this, but nevertheless, what we want to do is we want to be happy and appreciative of the announcement that we have, but we want to continue, don't we, Kenny? We want the next announcements and everything. We want to run through the finish line. And that's what I'm telling everybody. As long as the good Lord gives me breath, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through the finish line. And absolutely, if you're in the way, you're probably just going to get run over, because I'm running. I am running as hard as I possibly can every day to make things better and better and better for West Virginians. And I'm dadgum proud of it. That's all there is to it.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Now let's turn to Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Well, Steve Adams, Ogden Newspapers here. Kenny kind of stole my first question a little bit, but I'm going to ask it a different way and see if I get a different answer on it. But in regards to the issues with PGM and the grid this weekend, I didn't know if anyone at PJM or AEP had been in contact with you or anybody in the governor's office in relation to calling for customers to conserve energy, and whether you had been aware of any of these issues previously, because I know that in December 1st, PGM had sent out a big statement saying that they were prepared for the winter cold weather surge. Now, of course, this cold weather snap was colder than anyone had foreseen, and certainly colder than the records for this time of year. But nonetheless, I'm trying to figure out whether this was really more because of the cold snap and the reliability of the grid, or whether perhaps PJM or AEP or whoever just simply did not have enough coal or enough fuel supplies, natural gas, what have you, the power of their stations due to the high cost of coal right now, high cost of natural gas, and just simply weren't prepared for this. Whether it was truly an issue with demand, or whether it was an issue of they just simply didn't want to pay a higher price and have the supplies needed to manage this. Thank you.
Well, Stephen, I would tell you just this, that we're in constant communication with the PSC, and Charlotte Lane has been talking back and forth to us a whole bunch and everything, keeping us informed as we've gone through this whole thing. But I would say just simply this, you know, when it really boils right down to it, first of all, understand that it's my job, it's our job to be constantly informed and protect our citizens in every way. This was pretty tough stuff. I mean, I declared a state of emergency and everything, first a state of preparedness, then a state of emergency and everything, because the information we kept getting, you know, really and truly kept showing us that it was going to be as tough as predicted. Now, in most situations, what happens is we declare a state of preparedness or a state of emergency and everything, and we're very, very hopeful that it's not going to be quite as bad, but we want to make sure that people are prepared, you know. But all this goes back to just this. This was a tough one. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, wind chill factors, you know, and 30 below, 40 below, 50 below. I mean, absolutely, it was really tough. And we pray in every way that you know, we're very thankful that we didn't have 20 inches of snow with it. You know, if you go back to 1977, you know, at the time Jay Rockefeller was the governor, you know, and he sent everybody home because this big giant world-class blizzard was coming. And the blizzard didn't really materialize. But that January, we had consecutive day after day after day with temperatures below zero, ended up with 20 inches of snow on the ground, you know, and it was some tough times. But with all that being said, the bottom line of the whole thing, Stephen, is one thing, and that's just all there is to it. You know, this country just needs an energy policy, and there's no other way around it. You know, and you've got so many people that all you got to do is say the word coal, and they just dive right in the ditch. Oh gosh, that's terrible. You know, or natural gas and diving in the ditch. Oh, that's terrible. But absolutely, Stephen, this is all there is to it. Today, there's not enough windmills on the planet to keep us going today. There's not enough, whether it be hydro or solar or whatever today to keep us going, and so all I'm saying is quit. Everybody stop with this frivolous garbage, because that's all it is. We got to have an energy policy. We got plenty of good, really smart thinking, good people and everything, but everybody dives in the ditch. I don't know why we just don't tell our people the truth. The truth is really simple. There's no way on God's earth we can do without fossil fuels in this country today. There's no possible way. No matter what we'd like to do, there's no way. Maybe someday. But during that someday period, don't we need to continue to try to work to make our fossil fuels cleaner and cleaner and cleaner so we can keep our coal miners and our gas workers working? I mean, I don't know why we just, some people just want to cast them to the wayside. I don't, and I'm not going to do that. But the bottom line of the whole thing is, sure. I mean, stuff breaks down, or there's shortages of this or that and everything else. I'm not aware that was any of the case whatsoever in this, but we were absolutely informed all the way, and we think Charlotte Lane does a wonderful job, and we've stayed right in touch with her the whole way.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Finally, today, let's go to Randy Yohe with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Randy Yohe here with West Virginia Public Broadcasting, and it's back to a health question. And Governor, I appreciate as you continue to say that COVID hasn't went anywhere, and you talk about some of those numbers that still have significance. General Hoyer, I appreciate your management insight into talking about the surges and people that get COVID that are actually younger than me. I guess my question is, do you have any specific concerns and or preparations for a possible post-holiday surge again of COVID cases coupled with this triple-demic that we continue to hear about?
Well, I'm going to let General Hoyer maybe is best, Doc, you could chime in as well and everything, but I'm going to let the real experts answer that one. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, Randy, the governor continues to press us to, as you pointed out, to manage this, part of which is those pieces of data that I gave out today. We are in constant communication, continue to be partnered with the Hospital Association, our other partners in the Joint Interagency Task Force, to include the county public health teams, and health departments, as well as our community health clinics and all the others, to watch the numbers and look to see where challenges present themselves so that we can be prepared, just like the governor talked about in other areas. So we'll continue to monitor that with the partners within the Interagency Task Force. The good news is that the numbers right now are manageable, but as pointed out, we can continue to get people to take those vaccinations, whether it's a flu vaccine, the COVID vaccine. Those will help us blunt those particular surges and allow us to manage our way through this more effectively. Jeff, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Thanks, Jim. No, not really too much to add, only that at least nationally and locally, it does look like the previous surges in RSV cases have diminished, stabled out. So hopefully, as we get through the holiday seasons, we won't see any resurgence there, as well as the flu cases. As the general mentioned, vaccinations both for flu and for COVID are of extreme and utmost importance at this time of year.
All right, Randy, let's go to you to finish this up, Governor.
Well, again, incredibly blessed season and a time of year. General Hoyer, gave some special thanks to Dr. Coben and Dr. Marsh and everything, but I want to recap just one thing. just think about this just for a second. Think about the work that's been done by General Hoyer and now by, Dr. Coben. Think about all the stuff that's been done by our coronavirus czar, Clay Marsh, Dr. Amjad, our former Secretary Bill Crouch and everything, and all the good people at DHHR. And I don't know who in the world I'm missing and everything, but with all that being said, there's been a lot of folks, good people, smart people. That's what I always want around me. Smart people that are energetic. Remember just this: when you're writing that job description, if you're on your game, you can write just this down. See, the right person's in the right job and they're motivated. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Our people are motivated. Our people are stuck on and everything. Absolutely, they're the smart people in the right job and they're motivated. Now, with all that being said, I can never thank you enough, really and truly. What you've done to serve this state and this nation is unflat believable. You're heroes in my book, all of you, and many, 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 many more. Thank you so much. God bless each and every one of you. And thank you again and again from all the people in this great state. That's all I've got. Thank y'all.